everyone, Argsy here, and welcome along to Gage, Kentucky. Now this is a new map from Gage Field Modding, which was released very recently, just in the last few days, as a version 1.0, but it's actually been out and about and available in a sort of beta version with regular updates from the modder, where you were able to download it and play it and help out with the development, help out with detecting bugs and that. So I had a look at this a few weeks ago and was really taken by it, and thought it needed to be shared far and wide, because I think this is a fantastic map. True Midwest farming. It is a 4X map. It is PC only, and I'll get into a little bit more about the details for that very shortly. But yeah, like I said, it's a big map, and there is a lot of fields. So as per normal, we will take a little bit of a look at where you get this from, how you find the map to download it, take a look at some of the key features that the modder has identified, and then take a little bit of a look around the PDA, and then a little bit of an explore of the map. Now, probably going to say right off the bat that this is too big and too expensive to go around and do a full tour and show you everything. It's also one of those maps I'm kind of thinking it'd be nice for you to discover some of those for yourself. If you're going to play on it, learn what farm you might like. There is multiple farmyards and multiple options as well, and it might come down to what sort of fields you want to farm, because there is a very big variety of fields. So let's dive in. I want to show you the modder's website where they are sharing this map, because it is right up there with some of the best I've seen in terms of farm sim. Edo Mod does a fantastic job with the way they present their maps on their website, and Gage Field Modding has done an exceptional job with the way they present their maps. So let's go and have a look, and I'll show you where you can download it all from. So this is their website where they have been sharing information, updates, patches, all of that kind of thing for the map. Like I said, it's a very nicely done website. I'm quite jealous of it, and something I might even look to steal some inspiration from when it comes time to getting a bit further down the road with our own map. But it is gagefield.com. I will leave a link for that down in the description, so you can find that without too many issues. Tab up the top here, FS25 modding. Basically, as you can see, it's got a little bit of a description there. The current status of the map, so we're in version 1.0, general access. That was released on the 5th of December 2025, so only 3 days ago. Gage, Kentucky is a 4x rolling terrain map for Farming Simulator 25 with 130 mixed row crop fields, livestock, waterways, and the crossroads of Gage Road and Mosstown Road in Kentucky. Once again, as of the 5th of December, it is officially released as version 1.0. Now it's time to enjoy without the constant need for new saves. So that reflects the way that the map testing was done, the beta testing and everything like that, with the regular updates, which did require some new saves. It did break some things, so as you went through, and if you were helping out with that, there was that. But yeah, it is a stable version 1.0 release. You can see some milestones there, 3,500 downloads as of the 4th of December. And we just go down a little bit further to go into a little bit more information about the map. So there are 140 real-world fields of wheat, corn, including dry corn, soybeans, and hay, plus purchasable land for player-created fields. In total, there is over 2,400 acres of pre-placed fields. Now, the Gage Grain and Crop Services is a central hub. It's actually on the edge of the map, and we'll take a look at that soon, because that's where we've started out at. Where you can deliver grain to the central elevator to sell, you can buy inputs or carry out some contract custom spraying and fertilizing services. There is anhydrous ammonia, UAN, and propane for purchase on site. So a couple of clues to some additional fill types and fertilizer types there in the map. Additional crops, there is native support for double crop soybeans, as well as multiple additional crops such as alfalfa and clover. Now, one of the big features of this, and why it's now in general release, is Thunder's row crop system. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail, but I think it deserves a video on its own, so keep an eye out for one of those coming very soon. But Thunder's row crop system basically takes what row crop ready was doing in FS19 and FS22 and makes it even better. It is genuinely impressive the way it is done, so we'll get into looking in that in just a little bit. But basically, experience a new and immersive way of farming row crops with Thunder's RCS, producing beautiful and realistic curved rows, including row shut-off logic. It is fantastic. Mark my words, you will enjoy this if you enjoy doing row crops. There is livestock and small farms with multiple cattle farms, horses, sheep, and goats with dedicated pastures and handling areas. And then there is rolling terrain and waterways with many waterways, creek crossings, and washouts connecting smaller fields and challenging transport routes. Now, I've found a couple of those, but like I said, it's a pretty big map. So that's kind of something I think could be kind of fun to find on your own. There's an option there if you're a streamer or role player to get in touch. I'd love to help out with some role play if that's something you're into. Latest updates where we're at with the maps. Obviously version 1 general access is out now. There's little arrows. You should be able to click on things and it tells you what might have changed and what some of the added features are. So we've got some performance lighting and packaging tweaks. It does have 16K density maps as well, so it is a very detailed and good looking map. Scrolling down, you can see there is their release roadmap. So we're basically at this point here, version 1.0, potential version 1.1 for any fixes or anything that might need to be done, but also talks about seasonal refresh and any community driven adjustments. So great to see that they're open to feedback, advice, suggestions, or anything like that. Now, if we keep on going down, this is where you'll find the map to download. Now, previously, we were able to download a vanilla non-row crop system version, and that is still here, but it is not going to be supported any further. So if you're wanting to play this, highly recommend doing it with the row crop system. So you've got the option there, download the map, and then also download the dependencies. We click on that, it brings us down here a little bit further with a whole lot of required mods that you need and links to the original modders pages. So you can see there the Legacy Eggs shop, 72 by 126 shop, American Midwest Wood Sheds by ICAS. So there's a whole lot of different things there to download. There's some optional mods, 7 of those you can download, and then there is 46 mods to download in-game from the official mod hub. So there is quite a few required mods. Even if we do scroll down there, I think we might find there's the Bog by Bunkers by yours truly. So great to see those there, and do appreciate Gage Field Modding sharing the links to the original source there, so that the modder does get recognition and that for their work. There's a few other acknowledgements down the bottom about who's helped out with this. So obviously Thunder with the row crop system mod. There's James ZAW modding, Tidon modding, Squatch Monkey, No Creek Farms, and Trevian Banks, as well as some elements from a few others, Anhydrous from Collins Custom, Propane from Silo Buki, Multi-Fruit Alfalfa and Plover from Jinku89. There's the Giants Editor scripts from Farmers Boys Modding and Strout Mint. Maps for FS for helping out with the original DM. Soybean Textures from Antler22. Corn Stubble Textures from AW Modding. Explorer from Farm Mods TV. And, of course, the original US map distributed with Farming Simulator 25. So, like I said, a fantastic looking webpage. What's actually fantastic, once you've downloaded one of these mods, you can actually tick it. You know which ones you've downloaded and can keep track of it that way too, which is really handy when you're doing that. The downloads. Otherwise, the link there to join their Discord server. If you want to do that, I've also got a multiplayer server you can join on too. A few facts. We're just scrolling back up. We did click on the link here, which took us down. A few facts there. Why they discontinued combined download. Can you download vanilla? Basically, some questions there if you need any help. So, I was just taken by this website and I thought the effort's gone to this as well as the map. It deserved some recognition. So, without further ado, let's go and take a look at the PDA and go for a little bit of a tour around the map. So, here we are back at the Gage Grain, Kentucky. This is effectively, we just take a little bit of a spin around here. This is basically a co-op. There's all sorts of things to go in and have a look at. We'll do that in just a second. Before we do that, we will take a look at the PDA. Now, one other thing just to mention, it is recommended to have a system that runs 32 gigabytes of RAM and 8 to 12 gigabytes of virtual RAM on your graphics card. Now, I'm running this on a 3070 with 8 gigabytes of virtual RAM. I do notice a few texture issues when it comes to signs. In fact, this one here might be a little bit blurry at the moment. Yeah, so that one's a bit blurry at the moment. Some of the signs take a little bit to load in. When I'm not running OBS and I'm not recording a video, those are fine. So I think it's just my system's a little bit limited by running two kind of graphics heavy processors at the same time. Certainly they come through when I'm not having OBS open. But anyhow, there we go. Let's have a look at the PDA. So here we go. This is the PDA, as you can see, based on a real-world location. A lot of the fields obviously mapped to that, so you get a lot of these fields with waterways, drains, swales, whatever you want to call them, cutting through the fields. In fact, there is very few regular shaped fields. A couple up here which are getting on the larger side and a little bit more easier to work with. A few down here which are kind of rectangular, but even so, they still have some very interesting shapes to it, which I think makes it quite interesting. And particularly when you start seeing how the row crop system works, it will make some of these fields, this 15 in here, will look fantastic when you've got proper row crops planted in there. But like I said, huge variety in field sizes up the top here. And bear in mind, this does take into account the whole land area, 220 acres. So not 220 acres of arable land in there, but 220 acres in the farmland. If I had the extended field info mod on, I'd be able to tell you exactly what it is. Over on that, I don't think it does tell me, does it? No, still the same, just tells me what's on that. So as you can see, a lot of corn, a lot of wheat, and a lot of soybeans across the map. Really, not much else to say other than looking at the variety of fields. Now, down the bottom here is where we are at the moment at Gage Grain. If we zoom in and have a proper look around here, you can see all of the equipment and vehicles, and there is a lot when you start out as a new farmer. We've got some buy points. In fact, I'm not going to be able to grab those. There we go. There's some grain outbound. Click on the right ones. This is Gage Grain as a sell point. You've got a point over here for propane, another for anhydrous. So lots of different options there. Got a fuel station over this side. There's a bale sell point down there, and then the only other actual sell point on the map is farmers market and a grain mill up the top. So everything from that point of view is all focused down here on this road, which runs across the bottom of the map, all the way down across the bottom. All of this up here, this is all farmland and farms, and there's quite a few scattered around. Pretty true to life. A lot of spots where there's buildings here on the map, grain silos, you'll find a grain silo system there. You'll find sheds in all these positions, all these spots all scattered around. So very well done in terms of being true to life, sort of bigger farm up that side. Come across here, we've got a very big farm as well with equipment already on that one. I think it's in this one. There is an animal dealer, or animal farm, sorry, with quite a few cattle already in there. Just a whole lot scattered all around. So well worth exploring. I don't want to go too far into it and I guess spoil some of it, but I'd like you to try and explore it on your own and figure out where you might want to farm on the map. But yeah, definitely some big variance in field sizes, only 8 acres there in the middle. So some little ones, very small ones in the middle, which are grass fields too. 89 is tiny, isn't it? 5 acres. So big variety, big options, big choice in field sizes. I do like it. I think it's very cool. Now, in terms of crops, we've just looked at the fact there is a whole lot of wheat, corn, and soybeans planted. We do scroll down the bottom here. You can see we've got alfalfa and clover. There's a couple of custom options in there. Of course, onions comes through because I do have the Highlands Fishing DLC installed at the moment. We take a look here. If we take a look in the prices tag, you can see we've got alfalfa in there as a crop type, clover. Scroll down a little bit further, we'll get to the productions. Alfalfa hay, anhydrous ammonia. Should be some dried corn in here somewhere. Clover hay as well. There we go, there's our dried corn. So there's lots of different options through there for some of those extra bits and pieces that have been added into it as well. Propane. Keep on going down actually and see what else there is. They've got a starter there. It's a fertilizer, I believe. We've got some UAN 28, UAN 32. So some custom options in there as well, which is nice. Something that I know American players do enjoy, having those kind of features that they enjoy on the farms that they use normally in there as well. And lastly, while we're in here, I did want to show you all of the different vehicles, and there is a huge amount of vehicles that come in here as standard. We've got all sorts of trailers, trucks. There is just a whole lot. I'm just going to tab through these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 40, 45 sprayers. You've got different boom options for it. There's a couple of combines, seeder, trailers, trucks. There's a good selection of Mack Anthems, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 or so trucks there as well. We've got more grain trailers. So these are all in there by default, and they are all usable. I mean, they're all owned by your farm as you load in. So if you wanted to get rid of them, you can. If you're playing on PC, it doesn't really matter where you start because you can build a farm however you want, and it is so easy to do it. So there we go. I'm not sure what else there is to say about the PDR. To talk about the road down the bottom, there's a good network of roads. It's very hard to pick up, but basically all of these fields, there's a road which runs all the way up through here, goes across the top. There's more roads way down through the middle, the road across the side here. There's a lot of field tracks and accesses. It's pretty well linked up. A mixture of dual carriageways. There's some single lane tar sealed or asphalted roads. There's some single lane gravel roads as well. So a real big mix of access ways around. But we're going to go down and have a bit more of a look around here. I'll show you around, show you where the spawn point for vehicles is. But just here on the map, I did buy myself a little international pickup before we started, so you can see where that spawned there in front of the shed. So that will be the spawn point for any vehicles you buy. I couldn't actually find a trigger to buy equipment by going into a shop trigger. So at the moment, the only way I've been able to do that is through the shop menu by pressing P on my keyboard. But whether there is and something I've missed, someone might be able to tell me in the comments. But anyhow, without further ado, let's go have a little bit of a look around. So over here on the left, we've got a big truck shed that's used with trailers. I just kind of had the triggers on before because right there is your vehicle dealer access. So you can come in there and buy. And like I said, spawn point across the front here. So plenty of space, plenty of access for bigger equipment. But yeah, like I said, nice big shed here for some trucks. See a drive-through one, a little bit of wildlife sneaking on in the inside. First sign of the Argsy Gaming bulk buy bunkers. So you've got those all set up there as buy points. Very cool. And basically, just keep an eye on the equipment. I'm not going to go into all of it around here, but yeah, there's a 9R with the Summers disc, I think is it. What's cultivator? Exactly which one that is, but yeah, big bit of tillage equipment there. But that, now we've got anhydrous and propane over there. Another thing I do like is there's a lot of NPCs walking around and they interact. There's a couple of them standing around and just the way they talk to each other and they're kind of animated. And I'm not sure whether that's a base game thing. I haven't actually noticed it before, but I do like the way some of them interact. I'm not going to get that there, but just look at him standing there and he's going to rub in his face. And a couple which look quite animated in the way they're talking. Few buy stations around here. Now I haven't actually tested out to see if any of these actually work. There's no triggers showing up, but equally so there's no triggers showing up on the bulk buy bunkers, and I do know there are triggers on each of those. So whether it's just something that haven't come through here, but looks like there's a few other options there. Press F5 and we can see some yellow boxes around these, so I would assume that there are some triggers there to be able to buy things through. Get rid of all of those and carry on our way around the other side here. Got a weighbridge on the way in, coming through this side. A whole lot more of these NPCs sort of standing around. Start to see some of this custom spraying setup. See the droppers there with the 4045 sprayer. We've got the spreader version of it there as well, all numbered. A truck in there, set up to go. And then there's some options here, so you can see we've got the lanes now. Hopefully, a bit hard to make out, but the left-hand one is seed, lime, and fertilizer. And lane 3 is TMR, pig food, and minerals, I want to say. Can't actually remember what it was now. It's just the issue I'm having with the textures loading in there. Like I said, if I wasn't running OBS, I wasn't recording, they would look just fine. You got an unload point, come down this side, so if you wanted to come in and sell some crop at this point, you've got the sell point. Otherwise, 3 different load points. I have loaded up a seeder out of this, so you can buy seeds out of those triggers as well. Another weighbridge on the way out, and then another good sized shed here, combine truck, half loaded combine on the back of the trailer. I kind of like the way it's done because it feels like this is actually populated whether you choose to use it or not. But here's one of these examples I was saying about. These guys kind of almost look like they're interacting, you know, the way they move, have a bit of a chat. I do like it, and I'm going to have a look into the map files and understand exactly how that's done, because I think it's quite a cool feature. Let's get around here. We've got pickup and water trailer over there, I think it is. Got a nice workshop actually. Look at the floor in this. It's immaculate. The sprayer set up there just for a bit of maintenance. He's busy hard at work. Over this way, we've got the conveyor behind another Mac. And a fuel point over here as well. Lots of lights around, so I'm sure it'll be well illuminated and set up at night. And that's pretty much all there is to write about Gage Grain, effectively the co-op for Gage, Kentucky. The local constabulary here as well. Again, textures would be showing up there as a highway patrol vehicle, I think it is. But system's not doing that for me. Alright, let's go and grab our pickup and we'll go for a little bit of a drive around, check out a couple more spots, and then hopefully leave you wanting more. So I think what we might do, we might come out of the co-op down the bottom, head along to the gas station, then take a left up here and just drive through the middle of the map, just take a look at some of the spots up and through there. Then we might come over and just finish up at this farm, leave a lot of this other side for you to explore at your leisure and check that out, because this map video could end up quite long if we go and check all of that out as we're going. So let's head on out this way, we'll take a right and head on down to the gas station. Just talk as we go. I read a comment on Facebook about the map, and someone compared it to Tahitian County as being the best American map there has been since Tahitian County was released. And having played on Tahitian County and having had a look around this map for a wee while now, I'm inclined to agree with them. In fact, I think this is even better than Tahitian County was. Just the level of detail, the thought that's gone into all the different aspects of it, the houses, the way they've been landscaped. They're simple, but from what I've seen of Midwest houses, that's often what you get. Big lawn out the front, a few bushes, not many fences or anything like that. So I think it's kind of quite fitting how it's all been done. But as you'll find, as you see, you'll just get areas like this where you get a couple of houses and then you'll just get a big shed which could be set up and used as a farmyard. But here we go, I've just overshot the road, we'll just spin around. Bit of an old school gas station going on there. More people, like, it's just that little bit of detail that I really appreciate. Time that's been taken to get those people into position and set up around the place. So we're just going to keep on driving down and along here, just kind of look out the window really, what there is to see. A lot more houses, but you can start to get a feel of some of the fields. So field 59 here on our right. Excuse my controller playing up. Wants to take me for a drive into the field, but just some beautiful rolling country, creative fields, unique fields. Bit of a farm up here on the left. Now there's a bit of an equipment in with that one. We won't carry on, or we won't go in and have a look. We'll just carry on, but you can see some of those bits and pieces up in there. A few sheds and everything scattered around for that one. We'll keep moving around. Just drive on down the road, and it feels so occupied, so lived in, so detailed. There's something around every corner. Water ponds, there's lots of ponds all around the place. You just come across fields, farms, farmyards, houses. Everything's just been really, really well detailed. The use of textures coming in and out. The power lines, there's power lines crisscrossing roads and crisscrossing fields. Different sizes, different shapes, different types. There you see all the tyre textures coming out on the road. Really nice to see. I do like it. Let's keep on coming. You can see just a little bit of a waterway in there. It's the use of the different plants. Sorry, Mr. Skoda. Sorry for holding you up there. The farm, like I said, they are everywhere. There's just so many, and we're only driving up one of 3 or 4 roads I could have chosen to go along, so you can kind of get an appreciation how many different farmyards, field areas, whatever you want to call them, there are all around this map. Gotta say, this could make a fantastic multiplayer map, particularly if you wanted sort of multi-farm American style multiplayer. We're still carrying on up to the north and heading up to the top of the map. This is probably the widest road. This will be the biggest main road through the map. Another farm, another shed, another site that you could use as your own. But definitely the main road. A lot of the others are, as I described earlier, single lane asphalt or gravel roads that are a little bit narrower and require a little bit more consideration when it comes time to accessing it. Now, just looking down, is that a cattle barn in the back there? It's like a bit of a mesh side. Possibly. Not sure exactly. Thinking about the weeds in there on the left, that's a pretty neat looking wheat field. Nice big long edge along here. Likewise here on the other side, field 87. As it starts to open out. Grass area in there you can actually plough up and expand your field into. And of course that's an option too if you were a bit frustrated by some of the waterways. There's nothing stopping you using a bit of landscaping. Maybe not that one, but in some of the instances you could probably landscape them out and get rid of them if you wanted to make it a little bit easier to farm. I've tested a little bit with the built-in AI and the steering assist, and all seems to work pretty well thus far, so certainly think should be able to work with all of that. I haven't seen any information at all about an auto drive course, so whether there is one available I'm not too sure, but certainly that would be something that would be very nice. So just stop and pause here, have a look at the intersection, the waterway. We might just hang a left and head along here, which is what we said we'd do. So now we're on sort of a little bit of a narrower asphalted road running along the side here of this little waterway. Going across it here. Let's see some of the field entrances. Good variety, some big open fields. 48 here. Oops. Sorry about that. 48 here on the left. Decent sized field, and not too many pieces cut out of it. Sort of just got this little bit here. It might be a little bit too big to landscape that one out, but very nicely manicured driveway there up to that house as well. Very grand and regal. So we're going to keep on going along here a little bit further. Like I said, we were going to go and check out this other farm up here, one of the bigger farmyards on the map, just to give you an idea of how they look. This is another one that has a fair bit of equipment set up with it as well. And one thing I have forgotten to look at and is the crop calendar, so we'll take a look at that too. But here we go. This is the farm in here on the right, so we'll just driving this way. This gravel road actually goes on for a long way, heads all the way down the back of the farm. There you go. Got all sorts here, trucks, trailers, grain carts, fuel trailer, we've got a combine, seeder or planter, grain header there. Carry on a little bit further, another bulk buy bunker, great to see. Cultivator, so we've got another truck or something tucked around the corner here, we do. A little bit of a silo complex, and I'm guessing we're going to have a grain dryer at this one. It's kind of nifty, we haven't really gone to the effort of looking at any of those, but a little bit of a drying complex there, so again, buy your propane and you'll be able to come up here. Now I have to have a look, I haven't actually seen if there's any custom trailers for propane and anhydrous and things like that, so maybe we'll just dive into the shop, take a look at the crop calendar and those couple of things we were just talking about. So here you go, this is the crop calendar. Basically you can see across the top the alfalfa. Good to see alfalfa being able to be seeded pretty much all year round, except for winter, and harvestable most of the year as well. Same as clover there, pretty much lines up with grass, not quite as flexible as grasses. You obviously can harvest the grass through the winter seasons, but maybe not quite appropriate. But other than that, you can see our corn here in April, May for planting. We've got a harvest window through October, November, December. And soybeans, if we go down and have a look at those, April, May, June, July, and October, November, December, January, February harvest window. So quite a long harvest and planting window. And I think the idea behind that was to do with the double cropping, which someone might be able to expand on that just a little bit more for me in the comments. You can see the wheat there. Wheat's definitely a winter crop, so planting that in September, October. That's going to stay dormant across all of winter and grow to be a July, August harvestable crop as well. So a few little novelties there in that, but hard to compare some of the others, but you can grow all the crops. Everything is in there still, nothing's been taken out. If you want to grow sugarcane, if you want to grow sugar beet, if you want to grow cotton, you can do all of those in here, as well as all the root crops and everything else in between. So just taking a look here, I thought I'd look at the barrels. There's no options there for anything different, which probably doesn't surprise me, but if we just come up to fertilizer spreaders or sprayers, and they've got the option there for all the anhydrous, and those will be all of the different UANs there, the 28, the 32, etc. And that's available across all of the different options there for all the different tools. Sure, with the fiber dash should be able to take those as well. It's a bit hard to tell there. That is a recommended mod to have installed. So I think the only thing I haven't been able to locate in here is anything to be able to haul propane. So you might have to find a mod to be able to take propane. I don't think there was anything that was added in with the recommended mods. There was only a few of them. Any of these added in an option for a propane trailer. So that might be something you have to have a look at. The last thing I wanted to look at and show was just a quick little demo of the row crop system, because it is pretty neat. So we've got ourselves a Kinsey planter here. We've picked a bit of an irregular shaped field, pretty close. It's not too big, but pretty close to the shop. We're just going to turn our planter on, basically lower it down. We've done nothing except for when we bought the planter, we had the option to have row shut off on the planter or not. And we're just going to go forward a little bit. And already you can see we're getting individual rows planted there rather than sort of a mass planted texture. That's basically each of those planting units is acting independently. Now, unlike previous row crop ready, which required specialist planters, this is the base game Kinsey planter. Nothing special has been done with it except for installing Thunder's mod and whatever map prep had to be done to make the map ready for row crops. Now, we're going to just sort of drive around here just very quickly, try and do a bit of a headland. So I want to show you the magic when you start doing an up and down row and you reach an angle or hit a bit of a funny little cutoff. Now we're using the in-game steering assist here as well. Basically you can just see as we move, as we're going around, we're getting these lines. It's working really, really well, and I'm honestly not noticing any significant performance disadvantage, any drop in frame rates as a result of it, whereas previously row crop ready systems for previous versions of FarmSim did have some penalties to performance and could be quite significant depending on the size of your planter. This is none of that. So if we spin around the corner without lifting up, you're going to see we're going to sort of miss a little bit in the corner, but that row should be a nice big curve when we come to seeing it growing. So we'll skip forward some time once we've been around. I'm not going to plant the whole field, but we'll just do a quick little bit just to have a good look at it. Now, one thing I can suggest when you're using it is when you're doing the up and down rows in the centre, is set them to a north-south or east-west direction if that's suitable. Just because of the way that the system processes the data, it uses the resolution of the map, and it can look a little bit staggered sometimes, depending on how high resolution the map is, particularly on a 4x map. 2x probably, or standard size map, 1x probably not quite so bad, but certainly on a map like this, worth considering. Now, I'm actually going to do a little experiment here, because what I'm going to do is I'm not going to plant all the way into the corner, stop there, lift this up. So what I want to show is how the row crop shut off works a little bit. So as you can see, we've got a little section that hasn't been planted, and we've got a section that has. Now I'm just going to get this backed in to the right position and zoom in here, so hopefully we can see it. There we go. We didn't pick the best place, but let's slow this down. What we're going to see is on the left hand side, you start to see those rows already starting to form, but we had already planted. I picked up the wrong guidance route and grabbed the right one, but we would have already planted. It hasn't, so it's a bit hard to see, but let's see if we jump out whether we can go and have a little bit of a closer look at it. So you can see these rows going across the direction we're going at the moment, and these rows going back that direction, and you can actually just start to see as we've left, the rows have turned back on because it's gone over the area we've already planted, or left the area we'd already planted. You can start planting. So it certainly comes into its own when you run a straight row into an angled headland or something like that. It is very, very cool. So get that turned back on again, get our steering assist set back up, and you'll see it again as well when we go around this little narrow section here. It'll shut off the outside rows on the right hand side so that we don't overplant the bit that's already been planted. Require a little bit of manual steering around there. Here you go. The bit we planted first still carries on going that way, and the bit that we've just done only has a narrow little section comes across. It is very, very cool. Adds a level of immersion into the game that's not been there, and would have been something I would love to have seen as a base game feature. But who knows, maybe it could be something that Giants could pick up and run with in the future. So we'll just get back around here, get this field finished, or the headland finished at least, and I'll show you again. Pick up and just do a quick little up and down row. We don't need to do a long one, we'll just do one of these short little sections in here just to demonstrate it. Get to the end, and it's going to shut off. So you don't even actually technically have to lift it up, but if we turn, let's go down this way, see the rows, hopefully, will turn on individually as they go across, and then they'll turn off as they go back across it there as well. You've ended up with these individual rows acting independently. It's very cool. Just quickly plant this, and then we'll skip some time forward, and I'll show you what it looks like once the crops have started to grow. Here we go. Right, turn that off, get it out of the way, and we'll move time forward some. And there we go, that's the first growth stage of corn in this field. So you can see that full width of the planter across the bottom edge of the field. And then when we came back around and had that sort of narrower section, you can see where we've gone around, done the 180 around the edge of that little waterway, where the rows have shut off when they overlap the already planted bit. So we only get a sort of narrow piece. And then the two up and down passes we did, the little wedges in the middle, you can see where the rows have turned on and off as they needed to for when to start and when to finish without any overlapping. Fantastic. How good does it look? We'll skip forward through to once it's fully grown, because it's worth looking at. It's a work of art. You could have a lot of fun in a field and figure out the most creative ways to try and get some crops planted and have these row crops looking good. The benefit now is you can pick a 8-row corn header, 16-row corn header. I can't remember how many rows that Kinsey planter is, but you could pick a corn header that's half the width of the planter, so you can do 2 passes and take it off in exactly the same way that it's been planted, which would be pretty cool. And there we go, that's a little bit further advanced on the growth. Not quite full growth, but you can see there tassels and starting to get these cool patterns, and the rows are just there. Go up a little bit higher and get a real good glimpse of them. In fact, if we go over and have a look on this corner, you'll see that little section where I kind of started off heading in the wrong guidance steering line and where we overlapped and didn't overlap. So very cool. Row crop system is a fantastic mod, and really adds to the immersion of how the game works, how rows work. Look, there's no cut off really there on the edge, a little bit with that one, but that's probably more with the planter overlapping than anything else. So pretty cool. That is the row crop system. So just thought it was worth taking a quick look at that while we're talking about it for the map. So there we go, that is a first look here and a bit of a tour of Gage, Kentucky, a 4x map for PC only from Gage Field. Modding available now for you to go and download. I reckon this is a bit of a hidden gem that has flown a little bit under the radar. Hopefully we can bring a little bit of attention to it and you can go and give it a download and let me know what you think about it. Do make sure you use the row crop system, because I think that is fantastic. It adds so much more to the map, so much detail, and the way it's been implemented by Thunder is very impressive. I think Thunder is one of those sort of underrated scripting modders for Farming Simulator who's done some fantastic things across many versions of the game. I think back to FS19 where he had a rock spawning mod where it would spawn rocks that you could then go around and pick up with a deagleman, like you would when you're cultivating, when you're tilling, and you rip up the rocks. None of this sort of mass rocks that you get from Farming Simulator now. So anyhow, very impressive piece of modding and a very impressive map. The attention to detail has been what's really caught my eye with this. I think it's been really well thought out and really well implemented. So please go and give it a download, go give it a play, let me know what you think about it. Make sure you give Gage Field Modding a follow on their socials, and hopefully I can find some time to play on it as well. Maybe we'll add it into a server into the Arctic Gaming stables, so keep an eye out for that in the future. But as always, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this look around Gage, Kentucky, and I'll catch you in the next one.